You mentioned the Timberwolves. They drafted Rob Dillingham. I'm a huge Rob Dillingham fan. But the guy sitting next to me, he's not the biggest Rob Dillingham fan. And he
didn't lie.
You sell me on Rob Dillingham or try to sell Rib on Rob Dillingham. Why the Timberwolves should be excited.
That's a good lie.
You did not say that.
I didn't. Okay. I said, I didn't call y'all losers.
No. You're not a Rob Dillingham fan, which is what he's saying.
No, but he's trying to make it seem like I was on.
No, I didn't. I actually just mentioned Rob Dillingham.
You just gave it a C+ when for
C+,
the
B-.
All right.
So sell me on Rob Dillingham. Why you think he's so good? Where did you rank him in this draft?
Yeah, I had him top 4. I was a lot higher on him just as an offensive talent. I think he was the most capable creator in this class. Just his ability to both score from the perimeter, create shots. I'm a little bit higher on his ability to make plays than some other people. I think that he flashed that in moments, and when he was able to handle the ball, I thought that he was a solid decision maker. And I think that just somebody who has the type of offensive talent as he does, being able to both put pressure on the defense and get to the rim, make kickouts, make perimeter shots. That's somebody who I valued a lot in this class. And for a team like Minnesota that has somebody like Rudy Gobert on the back end to, insulate him as a defender and some of the issues that he could have at his size. And you got Anthony Edwards, and he just kind of serves as somebody to take the pressure off of him as a shot creator. Obviously, we saw the issues that Minnesota had deep into their playoff run. So I like it a lot. And then also, he gets to learn from Mike Conley in doing some of those things, making a little bit better decisions. So a team like Minnesota, that's perfect. If you would have ended up in some other spots that weren't San Antonio, I would have been a little bit more questionable, or I would have questioned more of, his ability to get to a level offensively that, mask some of the defensive issues that could be there. But like Minnesota,
it was perfect. It was perfect.
Am I crazy for saying, or am I getting too hyped up for saying that Rob Dillingham or Anthony Edwards could be one of the best backcourts in the NBA?
You didn't say that. Wait,
one day.
No. Say exactly what you said. They're going to be the best backcourt. Don't say one of the best.
It's draft night.
First, don't remember, Ant and Jaden were better than the Jays.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Don't try to
Ant
lie.
is better than one of them. Both of them actually. He's better than both.
Word. One of the teams were actually able to beat. That team.
I wish Anthony Edwards had that team
the
around.
The biggest disrespectful thing you probably have ever said in your life was that Jaden McDaniels and Jaylen Brown are a conversation.
Jaden McDaniels proved it in the playoffs. Jaden McDaniels' defense was all world.
And Jaylen Brown is
until that offense
is a Larry Bird MVP. Wait until that finals. Bill Russell MVP.
But I'm asking Keandre a question.
Why couldn't he guard Luka and Jaylen Brown could?
And the question I'm asking Keandre is, can the Timberwolves one day own the league's best backcourt?
There we go.
With Edwards and Dillingham.
Keandre, don't sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it.
I think it's a possibility. I truly do. It's going to take more time for Rob Dillingham to get there, but when you have a guy on the caliber of Anthony Edwards, that's always, a possibility. That second guy only has to be so good to get in those conversations.
And you think that Dillingham could be like an all-star player?
I think that he could get at least close. That's going to be tough, especially in the West. To get to that level and have two of them, especially when as long as you've got Gobert, possibly Cat on the team, but I think he could get to that, type of production at least.
Yeah, like 18, 20 a night. Jamal Murray's never been an all-star, but we know he's an all-star level player. Yep. No, I agree. Hey, listen. Hey, you didn't have to sell me. I hope you sold my friend here, Riv here. Stuff he was saying about Rob Dillingham.
What did I say?
You called him.
What did I say?
Not a winner of the draft.
What were your actual thoughts on Rob Dillingham? Because I wasn't here for it.
Drew, did you hear that? He tried to sugarcoat it so did you? Yeah,
not a winner of the draft.
What'd you say, Dels?
What were your actual thoughts on Rob Dillingham?
Like when they picked him, or like just him in
player
general?
On the fit.
I think
they didn't have him as winners, so it wasn't that high.
I didn't have him as losers either, Del. I didn't have him as losers.
There's a lot of teams you don't have as losers or winners. Those are teams that you just don't care about.
I think Rob Dillingham is a good player. I think he has creation ability. I do think his defense and his size is questionable. I mean, when you look at around the league, guys his size, you're either going to be Trae Young-like or Darius Garland-like. And the gap between those two are so monumental, and I just think I said this, him going to Minnesota was good for his defense because they'll be able to hide him. It's just, how far the expectations, when is he ever going to be ready? Them giving up 2 picks, that was interesting to see. So I didn't have any major thoughts. I thought he was a top 10 talent in the draft. I thought if he went to, a team like the Spurs or I'm blanking on the other team I had, he would have been fine. But, I wasn't too big on it, but that was, I wasn't too low on it either. But, anything I say about Minnesota that's not positive, it's going to be geared towards hate.
He has if you're not over the moon, everything is sunshines and rainbows, you hate the team. You hate them.
Do you do player comps, Condre?
Yeah, I do. I got a lot of them.
This isn't crazy.
What was Rob Dillingham's player comp to you? Did you have a player comp for him?
I thought that he, could do a lot of what Darius Garland does. And I'm a little bit higher on Garland than I think you guys are.
No, you're not.
We're
here.
He's the highest on
number one
Garland.
fan loves Darius Garland.
We're here.
They grew up together.
So,
we did.
Yeah. I would think that you might be a little bit more of a fan of Dillingham just for that reason. Just game for game wise. But like that would be the caliber I think that he could possibly get to. If some of those other issues are there, I think that he becomes like Lou Williams like so.
The player comp that Riff gave him was right-handed Brandon Jennings.
Yeah, I mentioned Brandon Jennings too.
I don't think it's disrespectful. I never said it was.
You didn't love it when he said it.
I didn't.
He said, I see what you're doing.
Brandon Jennings was a 35% three-point shooter. He was never an excellent three-point shooter. Dillingham is a 40% three-point shooter.
Differently. They
if Brandon Jennings could shoot at a 40% clip, he'd still be in the league.
If you watch them, it's the same movements. They're the same. Like, it's really the same.
It's a difference though. Like I think the reason I try to, and I explain all this stuff in the videos because you can take comps a lot of different ways. I personally try to be as realistic as possible and give you, different outcomes and try to match things both statistically and aesthetically, because when I started doing it, it was a lot of aesthetics. I think if we're just going like how it looks, Brandon Jennings is probably the most similar in a lot of ways, but he was also a little bit more inefficient. Especially, his peak as a player probably happened right before he got hurt in Detroit and tore his Achilles. So like, that's probably the what you're looking at. I think he was a little bit more talented as a passer too, but like I'm not going one for one with a lot of comps. It's just kind of a rough estimate because everybody's too different to play that game.
Yeah.
And you set yourself up.
So what was this?
The Jaden Ivey, I'll never forget his player comp when everyone was calling him John Moran. Johnny Davis was getting called. Devin Booker's.
They always go. He looked exactly like D Book in collage.
The Johnny Davis one?
Yeah, Johnny Davis. He looked exactly like the shit was insane, bro.
Now, so you don't do it like from aesthetics. You also mentioned do it from statistical profile. So what was Rob Dillingham's statistical profile? Who was it similar to?
Any other prospect?
I'm really interested in Rob Dillingham. He's my guy.
I have a prospect I want to talk about just because.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
We got the draft expert guy. Of course I'm asking about prospects.
I'm with you.
So what was Dillingham's statistical profile? What did it compare to?
Yeah, Dillingham, so he was super efficient from three. All over the floor, really. He had a little bit of issues, finishing at certain points. But, like, there wasn't necessarily anybody that you could directly compare him to because of the Kentucky situation. You got two guys like Reed Shepherd and Dillingham coming off the bench. So there wasn't anybody that I was, like, looking at as a direct comparison. But, there's several guards who at least matched his production in a lot of ways. That were smaller. Obviously, Trae Young averaged 30 and 10. That's not something that you would possibly go to, but there wasn't anybody necessarily specific.
Okay, I see. What's your prospect, Joe?
So listen, I watch a lot of Hoop Intellect videos. I have to, especially when it comes to draft season. That being said, I know for a while Ron Holland you were super high on. Drops to number 5. There were a lot of conversations about whether or not he was going to drop to the back end of the lottery, was going to drop out of the lottery. He still becomes a top 5 pick. But the pick to Detroit, I'm not the highest on Ron, but I'm especially not the highest on the destination. How are we still feeling it? Is he still higher on your rankings, or did the team he got drafted to kind of sway you a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely didn't think Detroit would have considered him at all. I know there was a lot of rumors about where he was going to end up, like you had said. But I still thought that he was a top 5 talent. So from that perspective, and a team that lost like 30 games last year, you're always going to go for talent no matter what. And obviously, when you have a guy like Cade being in the situation that he has been to start his career, you probably want to make decisions that at least help him in some way. If that's the guy that you're for sure you're going to build around. They gave him that big extension. But I think Ron, he, he was super efficient from three. I mean, all over the floor, really. He had a little bit of issues, finishing at certain points. But there wasn't anybody that I was like, really looking at as a direct comparison because with like the Tobias Harris signing and hopefully more, you got Tim Hardaway there, which not a great player, but he can at least shoot it.
Some kind of spacing, I guess.
Right. I think that will at least help to be able to stagger lineups. You got Cade out there, you got Tobias out there, you got better roles or more realistic roles for guys like Asar and Ron to do their thing and, be brought along slowly. So, and you have a guy like Fred Vincent on the staff who has turned a guy like Herb Jones into from a 4-year non-shooter in college to somebody who's shooting 40% in the league now. And, obviously what he brings defensively. So the track record is there. I think that it's obviously not ideal. Like there's not like a clear fit for really anybody besides Cade on this roster. But from a talent perspective, I still think that he has, the ability to bring something to them, immediately. So I don't love it, but at the same time, you can't necessarily, go away from talent.